was, do I have any experience building a prison? I've had experience in Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, building a brand new facility from the ground up, including the design of that facility, the layout of that facility, the hiring of the staff and what have you, and making sure it's adequately programmed and making sure that the natural light, just a whole lot of things that we need in today's criminal justice system.
On the outside, what are the top 3 challenges you see in corrections in Nebraska?
Well, I think top 3.
What do you see as the top 3 challenges facing corrections in Nebraska?
Absolutely. So I think the top 3 challenges that's facing Nebraska is no different than what's facing the national correctional scene, and that's infrastructure. I mean, we're looking at in today's society where some of these facilities are built over 100 years old. They pretty much outlast their point of relevancy, to including conditions of confinement, natural lighting, as I spoke of, programming space. Not only that, working environment for our workforce as well too. Those are the same folks coming in, going out every day to have to live and work in the same environment. 2 is staffing. I think staffing has been hit across the nation as far as, it's a challenge to get folks to work in correction. It's just a challenge nationwide as it relates to any workforce. But in particular, as it relates to corrections, I mean, we got a lot of incredible leaders out there, Correctional Leaders Association, who are putting this on the forefront about looking at how we can bring good folks into this field and how do we retain them. And also looking at the staff wellness of our staff as well too, making sure that we are equipping them with the things they need so they can deal with the day-to-day stress every day. And I think the third part, I think we got to make sure that we're preparing people to be successful when they release. I mean, if we start looking at the recidivism rate, I think not just in Nebraska, but it's across the nation, we want to make sure that we have people success so they can go out and go back out to the community and be, prospering citizens, because that adds to public safety as well too. If we can turn out a better product than when they came into us, then that improves the staff wellness. I mean, that includes not staff wellness, but it includes the family lives, that includes the community and public safety as well too. Thank you.
Can you say why you left one line for Nebraska?
Well, I think I opened up and I said, 2 things. One, it was the I got a call from Tom Webb. He's a recruiter, what have you. Asked, if I wanted to have a discussion, and I was like, sure, I'll have a discussion. And the discussion was good about what was the need for Nebraska at that particular time. And then he said, would you be interested in talk with the governor? I said, sure. So he set up a Zoom call, and it was Lieutenant Governor, Chief of Staff, and and the governor. It was a great conversation. It was a great conversation. And what I heard from that conversation, well, these were 3 individuals who was genuinely invested in the humanity of human beings. And so with that conversation led to another conversation, and where I wanted to come over here and sit down and talk with them face to face. Here's where it got real interesting. Delays. I'm coming out of Chicago, coming over here, and it was like 5 or 6 delays because of weather or just because of the airport. And so my meeting was scheduled early in the morning, but by the time I spoke with the Chief of Staff and said I wasn't going to get here until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was somewhere along that time. He said, come anyway. And what made it so meaningful was, he said the governor cleared his schedule and he'll meet you at the airport. So it was that personal connection and his commitment. And so we sat in the airport, the 3 of us, the 4 of us, and we talked for about a couple of hours about the things that is necessary to change the trajectory of the work that we do. So I think that with the commitment from the governor, what he showed me, and then my background and the opportunity that presented itself, I think it was a perfect fit. And so here I sit in the great state of Nebraska. Governor.
This is also a question for Mr. Jeffries. Sorry. How do you plan to address some of the staffing shortages that have been an issue for the department?
the question is, how do I plan to address the shortages of the staffing? I know there's been some incredible work up to this point. I know Diane and Director Scott Frakes have done some incredible work with this administration about increasing the pay. So I think that's a good start, and I think that's just a pillar of the other things that need to be done. But I want to be able to spend some time with the team and with the field to see what the issues currently are. I don't want to just come in and just give answers about what the problems are so I can address them. But I know what work's been put in so far up to this point. And like I said before, this is something that is a national problem. So there's a lot of people looking at a lot of different things as to how we can improve our retention efforts once we get them here.
Director Jeffries, there's been another problem with overcrowding in Nebraska. Is there anything that you're going to bring to the table that you think can help to contribute to that problem for overcrowding?
Well, once again, I'm going to speak to, I need to be able to put my feet on the ground, talk with the team, see what's currently being done. I don't want to speak from the hip about how the solution should be about the overcrowding. I know that's a priority for us to look at the overcrowding. I know it's a priority for us to look at the infrastructure, but these two things are not mutually exclusive. I mean, we still need to increase the infrastructure of our agency, along with looking at, what programming and what reentry efforts we can do to improve people's likelihood to stay out in the community. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question again? It sounds like you were able to address maybe some of the restricted housing issues in Illinois. How did you balance that between the safety of population and your prison staff?
Well, there's been how that I addressed the restrictive housing concerns in Illinois. One of the things that I think is there's been a lot of work done nationally regarding restrictive housing. The Department of Justice, ACA, along with some other entities that provide technical assistance to address those particular issues. And so in Illinois, we were able to bring the Department of Justice guiding principles into those particular restrictive housing policies and programming and, due process, and also the reentry back out into the facility or back out into the community. So Department of Justice guiding principles and ACA accreditation right behind that to also to put some accountability into the process.
Do you think you can do that same thing here in Nebraska, or is that something that'll be a priority for you here?
Well, like I said, I want to meet with everybody and see what's currently being done. I don't want to, as I said before, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, get out ahead of the skis on what the problems are to address those.
And the other thing, it sounds like the population has had a rapid decline in Illinois. I mean, how did you guys do that without jeopardizing public safety? And is that something that can be done in Nebraska to address our overcrowding?
So the question is, how do we reduce the population in the state of Illinois without jeopardizing public safety? And so the thing I'm going to lead with is, and then I'm going to say, I'm in Nebraska now, but I'm going to use this as a reference point that during the COVID times, it was very instrumental to get people out early. So we use COVID executive orders from the governor over there to get people out. Now, those were nonviolent individuals who were let out with some reentry pathways and what have you. And we were able to do the mechanisms that I had the authority to release people, and there was quite tailored to Illinois. So through those couple avenues, we were able to reduce the population. And there was some good work with the legislative body over there and some advocate groups and everything to be able to put some policies in place and some bills in place, some laws in place to reduce the population further.